Hey everybody, this is Tim Kraus. I am going to give you a little bit of an update here on the Isaac Noriega and the Golden Dawn situation. I delayed a little bit in giving this update because I wanted to make sure that I was on solid ground. So I checked with counsel and we had a discussion about what to share and what I could not share. But I wanted to let you know that 2 days ago, that is the 2nd of May, I had a discussion with Ray Aguirre, and it is Aguirre, by the way. I've been pronouncing it incorrectly. It is Aguirre, Ray Aguirre. And my discussion with Ray Aguirre had to do with the fact that he called to let me know a couple of things. And one of the things that he let me know is that they Golden Dawn, when he received the certified letter that I had sent him, he said he returned it unopened. Post office isn't aware of that. They don't know where the heck it might be because they don't have possession of it, and I haven't received it couple of days later, and it only took a couple of days to get from Tempe to Tucson. I'll look forward to seeing that, but it'll be interesting to see how the post office accounts for that because it really wasn't accounted for by the post office. But, we'll see how that goes. My response when he said that they'd sent the certified letter back was, oh, that's a shame because you're going to want the information contained in the letter in order to be able to respond to this appropriately. The arguments that Ray presented to me were interesting arguments, to say the least. He suggested that that Isaac Noriega never said any of those things, didn't talk about a snake and quail, didn't talk about my voice being hissing like a snake, because frankly, he doesn't even know who I am. Isaac Noriega doesn't know who I am, so he never said any of that stuff. And he certainly didn't say anything about, being in jail and kidnapping anybody from Golden Dawn. By the way, I'm wearing my orange jumpsuit outfit again. This is not really a jumpsuit, by the way. This is a polo shirt, but I had a satirical comment from somebody saying it looks like a jumpsuit. So I decided to wear it again since we're on the topic of incarceration. But at any rate, I find it interesting that Ray would assert that Isaac doesn't know who I am, in that he called... from what Isaac had said, for what Ray had said, Isaac called Ed Biscoe up in Cloverdale, Canada, to ask who I was. What's even more incredulous is that Ed Biscoe said, I don't remember him. And I'm really kind of offended by that. Well, not really offended, but I'm surprised by that, given that, I spent nights in his guest room. And he was my guest, as an example, when I was up in Cloverdale at dinner. When he came to Seattle, as an example, I would meet him in the Seattle area when he would meet with other people, and we would go out to dinner with those people in the Seattle area. So I'm really a little bit surprised that Ed Biscoe didn't remember who I was. It may speak to the fact that he's getting very, very old. Here's my guess. Ed Biscoe knows me pretty well, and my guess is when he heard the sort of thing that Isaac was talking about, Ed Biscoe knows that I will cast a very, very wide net. And he didn't want to get involved with anything having to do with litigation because he knows I will follow through. That would be my guess as it relates to Ed Biscoe saying, gee, I don't remember the guy. I don't remember who he is. But We'll leave that aside. I find it interesting that Ray tells me that Isaac doesn't know who I am, yet he called Ed Biscoe and asked who I was, and asked if Ed remembered me. I find it interesting as an example that Ray tells me that Isaac doesn't know who I am, and yet he tells me that Isaac doesn't want to talk to me because he didn't want to talk to me because we have nothing to talk about. We have nothing in common. Well, how would you know that if you don't know who I am? I'm surprised that Ray said that Isaac didn't know me because Isaac didn't want to talk to me because of my videos. And if you don't know who I am, he doesn't even know who you are, Tim. He doesn't know who you are. If he doesn't know who I am, he asked Ed Biscoe. He talked about the videos. And he doesn't want to meet with me because we have different views or different opinions about the message. So I find it a little bit incredulous that Ray would take the approach that Isaac doesn't even know who you are. Why don't you believe me? He's never spoken to you about you by name. No, you're right. He has never spoken about me by name. It's always that man. But here's the thing. It's pretty easy to associate that man with the picture that was viewed in Instagram or the videos that are freely available. Ray tells me nobody in our assembly even knows who you are, Tim. I don't know what you're talking about. People don't look at your videos. They don't know anything about your videos. And I find that interesting because the feedback that I've gotten from current members of their assembly, are talking about the guy that does the videos. So, I find it a little bit interesting that Ray would represent it that way. Further, Ray then wanted to direct me to Matthew 18. It says in Matthew 18, around verse 30, 26 through 30, somewhere in there. If you want to talk to somebody about something, then what you want to do is go to them directly and talk to them. If he refuses to talk to you, refuses to understand, then bring 2 or 3 witnesses and let the truth be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. Well, so I want to make this really clear. My intention in the first conversation that I had with Ray some couple of weeks ago was to set that meeting up with Isaac so that he and I could talk one-on-one. That was the intention of the first discussion that I had with Ray, who told me Isaac didn't want anything to do with me. And because Ray runs interference for Isaac and doesn't allow people to go see Isaac unless you get through Ray, obviously, then obviously it's a matter of, if you can't get to Isaac, how are you going to bring the 2 or 3 witnesses to talk to Isaac? So I appreciate the fact that he goes back to Scripture and he wants to talk about, he talked in a sermon the fact that man doesn't know anything about Scripture, but we tried to do what it says in Matthew 18. We honestly tried to do the one-on-one with the discussion, and we're told he don't want anything to do with you. And so we are stuck with doing more than a couple of witnesses, more than 2 witnesses. We're stuck with kind of showing up with witnesses in this process, in the discovery process, if we don't have Golden Dawn respond as we asked in the letter. Just to refresh your memory, we asked Golden Dawn, and we said this will make the whole thing go away. We suggested to Golden Dawn that they invite my wife and I, we would sit in the back of the assembly, and then he could say over the pulpit that he knows all of those allegations not to be true, that the ministry knows them not to be true. Then we're satisfied, and we're happy just to make this whole thing go away. But he hadn't done that, and I'm not sure that he's going to. Barring that, we are going to have the 2 or 3 witnesses, and we have more than 2. We are going to go through what Matthew 18 talks about, 2 or 3 witnesses to establish the truth. Ray contends, he says, why don't you believe me? He never said that. Well, I would believe Ray if he were the only source of information and I didn't have other information that suggests that what Ray is telling me is untrue. Then I would certainly have no issue, with Ray. The problem is now we have a conundrum. Ray tells me that Isaac doesn't even know me, but Isaac called Ed Biscoe to find out who I was. Isaac didn't want to talk to me because of the videos and because of my views, but he doesn't even know who I am, right? And we have Ray saying it never happened. So that's okay. That's fine. And I told Ray, and I'll tell you on this video, if it didn't happen and we discover through the discovery process, depositions and written interrogatories, as we investigate and as we talk to witnesses under oath, if we discover that Isaac didn't ever say any of those things like the snake and the quail or any of that stuff, whether he said it by name or whether he said it by inference, if we discover that Isaac did not talk about any of those things, then I am happy to come onto my YouTube channel and say, guess what, I was wrong, Isaac never said any of that. What's interesting is Isaac apparently audio tapes his sermons, from what I understand. So we're going to ask for the services, a copy of the audio tapes, in order to be able to listen to the audio tapes and make determinations as to what Isaac really said during the services in question. And as we go through that process, we're also going to make sure that we let Ray and Isaac know destruction of those materials are a problem. So if you have the audio tapes, I'm going to ask you to keep them, because we're going to ask you for them, formally and legally. And we're going to listen to those audio tapes. Okay? So, at any rate, wanted to give you an update. Apparently, Isaac doesn't know who I am, yet he called Ed Biscoe, who also apparently doesn't know who I am. Although, Isaac didn't want to speak to me because he knows that my views are dissimilar to his, and we have nothing to talk about, and he knows I'm the guy that does those videos, and we have nothing to talk about. So, it's interesting that Isaac doesn't know who I am, right? So we have a little bit of an issue. We've got a little bit of a dichotomy. We will discover what is reality when we depose people, when we get statements under oath, under the subject to the penalty of perjury. We will understand just exactly what was said. When we subpoena the audio tapes, when we get all of that discovery in place, we'll discover it. I am told that the defamation and character assassination and slanderous comments that have come out of that church are serious enough to warrant legal action, and certainly we are willing to participate in that. So, and again, we can make this whole thing go away, Ray and Isaac. My wife and I are happy to go to Tucson. We're happy to sit in the back of your assembly. We're happy to have you tell everybody over the pulpit that you know those things which have been said about me are not true. In which case we go away and everything's fine. But this nonsense about, why don't you believe me, and Isaac doesn't even know who you are, that doesn't fly. That doesn't fly. The first excuse that Ray made, you may remember, was, well, Isaac thought you were somebody else. So, obviously he knows who I am enough. If Ray is to believe that he thought I was somebody else, he knows who I am enough to know that I'm not the person that somebody should have been referring to as it relates to a jail sentence, kidnapping people, and that sort of thing. So, we've got a little bit of an issue here. Wanted to give everybody an update that we had that discussion. Over the next day or two after this video comes out, there will be another video, which is our regularly scheduled video. We're going to have that discussion, or we're going to have that out very, very quickly, because it's ready to process now. But wanted to give everybody that update. Sure hope you're having a great 2022. It is, we're out of April and into May now. This is the 4th, so sure hope everybody's, we're almost midway through 2022. Hope everybody's having a great year. If there's anything we can do, the end card is going to give you information about how to get in contact with us. We're always happy to respond. Give us a heads up and let us know what you need. God bless everybody, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.